Hey everybody, we are in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29 today. Let's read that together. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. The one who is slow to anger has great understanding, but whoever has a hasty temper, says, you exalt folly. You lift up what is foolish if you are quick to anger. I want to address this very specifically today because, we're living in these days where everybody's on the internet now, and companies and spokesmen and politicians and everybody else, they've all learned how to leverage the internet to get what they want. And the primary way that they do this is through anger, through stirring up anger, through stirring up rage, and through pushing people to the edge of where they normally would go and keeping them there. And we're seeing this in the church, we're seeing it in politics, we're seeing it in sports, we're seeing it in pop culture. And it's not good because it's all about being quick to anger. It's all about training us to have this hair trigger response of temper. But the Bible says when you do that, you exalt folly. You start doing foolish things and you lack understanding. So I want to look at this today because whether it's your political side, and left and right has no monopoly on this. Both sides are doing this. It happens in the church through the various false teachers that we want to identify, right? And the various movements that we're concerned about that nobody's really heard about, but it keeps us clicking on the article, right? There's always something going on. And it's trying to keep you angry. But I want to point out 7 different ways that this specific kind of hot-tempered internet usage is exalting folly and the kinds of effects it has in your life that maybe you don't realize. Let's go through all 7 of them very quickly. Number 1, you are at the mercy of somebody who's giving you secondhand information. It's one thing to get all angry and upset about something if you were there or if you know the person that was there. But if you're at the mercy of somebody that is giving this to you from a long distance away, you're trusting their analysis, you're trusting that they're being honest and truthful, and hey, some of them might be. But the problem is you can't verify it for yourself. And there have been times where we find ourselves exposed defending something stupid that wasn't real because we were trusting this person that was giving us secondhand information. And I'm not saying that there's never a place for this, but it's if you are quick to anger. You're quick to respond every time you hear something, whether or not you've been able to confirm it's true or not. You're at the mercy of these people. Number 2, you become farsighted to a fault. The Bible tells us that we are to tend our own garden, to love our own family, to build our own house, to rejoice in our own money and the things like that. But if all you're ever focused on is what's happening so far out there in the NFL or in Congress or Oregon or Florida, whatever faraway state you're talking about here, then you're going to miss what's going on right in front of you. And I see this happening every day, that folks, they can tell you more about what's happening in some other country than what's happening in their own kids' lives. That's not good. Number 3, you become suspicious and distrustful of people. You become so accustomed to getting angry at every little thing and seeing that there's a conspiracy behind everything and there's ill intent and people convince you that even little things that people do, there's seriously something evil behind it. You become suspicious and distrustful of the people around you, even your wife or your husband or the person that you're speaking to while you're shopping or the guy that's checking you out at the grocery store. You become suspicious and you can't just have normal conversation because you think there might be something insidious behind it, which is foolishness, and nobody likes that kind of person. Number 4, it ruins things that you love. When you become so obsessed with what's going on the internet somewhere and you allow it to give you that hair trigger temper, you start to be unable to enjoy the things that you love. Nobody has really been happy, for example, with the way that the NFL or the NBA has handled some social issues. Nobody's really happy about it. But here's the thing. If you allow that to destroy something that you love and enjoy, right? It's not all about that, but you enjoy the sport, for example, and you can't enjoy that anymore, or you allow it to destroy the way you feel about your community or to destroy even just hobbies and interests that you have, you are giving rent-free brain space, heart space, to things that really have nothing directly to do with you. And again, could there be a place for this? Yeah, but I'm talking about being quick to anger and let that being your default response. It's foolish. Number 5, you start to view joy as irresponsible. People start saying things like, just don't worry about it. Be joyful. Enjoy the peace of God. And you say, don't you know what's going on? And silence is violence and you're part of the problem. And you're missing everything that's right in front of you. And you no longer allow yourself to have the joy of the Lord or the peace that passes all understanding. And in fact, you say, things are so serious right now, I don't have time for joy or peace or love. But you've got these people holding you right there to keep clicking, to keep subscribing, to keep whatever it is, and you're missing out on everything that Jesus has declared to be true for your life. And Jesus said that during the oppression and occupation of Israel under the Roman Empire. So if they can say that then, certainly now, right? Number 6, you become defined by opposition. You're no longer known for what you believe and what you love and the things that you've done and what you've accomplished. You become defined by the things you hate. Man, isn't that a bad way to live? Isn't that a foolish way to live? You're defined by, I hate this group and I don't like that party and I disagree with that decision and I didn't vote for him, but I did vote for him, and I hate all that and I hate you and I hate them, and you can't say a positive statement. You know, there are even pastors that fall into this. They can't just talk about the grace of God. They've got to talk about how they're anti-Arminian or they're anti-Calvinist, and nobody ends up preaching on grace as it's written. You know, nobody can talk about the rapture because they got to spend time talking about where it stands. And this is important conversations to have, but remember, if it's all anger all the time, you're going to go into foolishness. You're going to exalt folly. And number 7, here's the most dangerous one. If you allow yourself to become strung out by these internet people that are trying to keep you angry all the time, politics, sports, religion, whatever it is, you allow that to happen to you, God's solutions will start to seem insufficient to you. You've heard this before. The situation is so dire, we don't have time for the gospel. It's much more important to get the politics right. It's much more important to get the social thing right. We've got to correct this system and correct this structure and get that guy out of there. And we don't have time for gospel. We don't have time for worship. We don't have time for prayer. It's time to move and to act. And what happens is people become more in love with their own political, social, religious solution that they start to use that to interpret the Bible and to filter pastors and teachers and even their own doctrine. And they start twisting what they believe to fit what is the true love of their life, which is whatever their issue is. Y'all, I know there are some of you watching this that have fallen into this. I've fallen into it before, and God brought me out, which is why I'm so passionate about it. But remember what this says, Proverbs 14:29. Let me read it again. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. Y'all, if your time on the internet, watching TV, talking with your buddies is only serving to make your temper faster, you're going to exalt folly. Be slow to anger, slow to speak, quick to listen, and let the Lord fill your life with the way He's told you to live. God commanded us to live the way He told us to live, knowing there would be turbulent times. So you ought to remember that and trust that He knew what He was talking about. Just take a break maybe. Maybe that's the solution for today. Take a break, delight yourself in the Lord, and see how it feels when you finally let that temper calm down. You'll realize some of this stuff is really not that big a deal. God bless you guys. See you next time.